Good evening, and welcome to the 8th Annual Fairfield University StartUp Showcase. I'm Chris Hamer, an entrepreneur in residence and adjunct professor at Fairfield Dolan, and the founder of Crowdflick. We've come a long way, friends. It's great to have all of you. And from the great words of Dr. John Lee, the dean of the Dolan Business School, earlier this evening, what it was Round Hill Road has now become Sand Hill Road, and the entrepreneur ecosystem is here at Fairfield University. At this time of the year, as most students prepare for the dreaded final exams and some for the joy and sadness of graduation, tonight we feature a hearty band of students who are doing all of that, but also developing ideas for companies. In the past year, in addition to classes, clubs, jobs, socializing, and at possible risk to their personal health and well-being, they have pursued the American dream to start a business. Tonight, we will hear their ideas. We will judge their promise and viability, and we will participate in some small way in their American dream. You will see the best of student ideas here tonight, from Fairfield Dolan, the School of Engineering, and from Arts and Sciences. The stakes are high, my friends. There are 4 teams seeking over $25,000 in startup funding from a group of expert investors who are eager to hear what our students have to pitch. It's like Shark Tank, only without all the sharp teeth and biting. No Mark Cuban, but we do have our Mr. Wonderful, Dr. Christopher Huntley. You should know that the road to startup began back in September with nearly 100 students at our kickoff event. In October, students participated in the elevator pitch contest, and in November, the business model workshop. Many of tonight's entrepreneurial students also study entrepreneurship inside the classroom. In fact, I currently have 3 of tonight's participants in my class. During the process leading up to tonight, students meet with community, alumni, and faculty mentors and advisors to further develop their business ideas before our qualifier round in December. 12 student teams involving over 30 students were judged by experts in the field who determined the final 4 finalists that you'll see tonight. These finalists attend weekly workshops throughout the spring semester where they learn important business concepts such as value propositions, customer development, meeting investor expectations, and along the way, turning their ideas into real business proposals. During this journey, they've also learned a bit about themselves, which is sort of the point of this whole exercise. This is why we are here.
Showcase is a really crazy, insane, awesome experience. I wish more students could be on stage. It's an intense experience. It's a almost career-defining experience the first time you do it.
Last year, I started with Easy Bikes, and I got a taste for the startup process, and I had a great time. That was really enjoyable. It was high-paced, high-stressed as well, but it was fun. I would say that startup gives you accountability. Every week we have some task, something has to be accomplished.
Being in it is completely different from what I imagined. Like the day-to-day stress and just the amount of stuff you feel like you have to do.
This is the first time I've actually been doing all of this on my own and actually stepping out of comfort zones. It's an exciting journey because you meet so many people. So many people are willing to help.
It's really all about learning, and I love having the mentors, and I'm super thankful that they all come show up Saturdays or their Monday and Wednesday nights and help us, because that really makes a difference in the program.
We'll do a pitch, let's say, and then all the mentors in the room will kind of fire off some questions at you.
It's a little intimidating at first. It's not just me in my garage playing with
my little robotics projects anymore. Like, there's people who can get resources and build teams.
It's really been nice to see more engineers come into the program and just get a lot more people involved.
You definitely need a team that's diverse, that has multiple backgrounds, that can help you in areas where you don't feel entirely confident.
Having more people in the room, more potential teammates, more people to help you make decisions, and that's been a lot of fun as this program grows.
Startup pushed me to just continuously think about where I see my business going in the future.
When you go into it, you might think like you kind of understand like what the customer problem is that you're trying to solve, but you kind of have to accept that we don't have all the answers right now, and that's why we have to do market research. You can't skate by in this competition. You do have to put a lot of effort in. You got to do real work.
That is why we're here. That brings us to tonight's showcase. It's our third year at the Quick, and with a live audience of several hundred and a few million more watching online, actually a few thousand more watching online, actually billions on Facebook Live perhaps. Let's recognize our gold sponsors who have helped make this event happen. Dynata, Future Tech Enterprise, Maddox Premier Client Group, Phoenix Tower International, Michelle and Adam Bellardino, Joseph R. Bronson, Mary and Brian Campbell, Dagan Casavana, Trish Preston, Charles and Vallone, Susan and Charles Vallone, and John P. Welch. Thanks to everyone for their support and for being part of the Fairfield entrepreneurship phenomenon. Let's give them all a big hand. Okay, so here's a rundown of tonight's event, sort of how the flow will happen. I'll introduce our investors, then we'll hear from two of the startup teams, followed by the finalists from our elevator pitch competition, vying for a $1,000 prize. Then we'll hear from the second two, or the number 3 and number 4, of the startup teams. We'll present our Entrepreneur Hall of Fame Award and an update from Deandra Clark, founder of Bell, and she presented in the last year's showcase. Our investors will share their feedback for each team and reveal their choice or choices for the $25,000 in seed awards to our first, second, third place team and honorable mention. Then we'll conclude with your vote in the Audience Choice Award using text to vote. It's a busy night, so let's get going. The stakes are high and the energy is here. So, background on investor panel and significance. Based on the student team pitches and their analysis of the team's business model, these investors, who are themselves entrepreneurs, experienced business executives, and have significant venture capital expertise, will be selecting our award winners and will help the students move their startups to the next level. When you're an entrepreneur, you're by yourself, but you don't do it alone. First, I want to introduce Adam Bellardino. Adam is, so I'm going in the wrong order, sorry. Adam Bellardino. Adam is the managing director of the Maddox, Adam is the managing director of Maddox Premier Client Group. Prior to creating TMG, Adam was a financial services executive at Barnum Financial Group and also worked for MetLife in the service strategy and planning team. After 14 years with BFG, Adam developed his own estate management firm, Maddox Premier Client Group, which specializes in estate and financing solutions in the tech industry. He graduated from Fairfield University with a BS in economics and a BA in political science. Welcome, Adam. Thank you. To Adam's right is Bob Dorff. Bob is a world-renowned, you guys know, Bob is a world-renowned startup coach, author, and educator. He has founded 7 startups of his own, which he describes as 2 home runs, 2 base hits, and 3 solid tax losses. Bob's most successful startups were Marketing One-to-One, the customer relationship management provider, and the well-known Peppers & Rogers Group, the customer experience consulting firm. Also, Bob is co-author of The Startup Owner's Manual, which has sold more than 500,000 copies in 23 languages, and, by the way, is one of the core books that we use here in the entrepreneurial studies area here at Fairfield University. Let's give a hand to Bob Dorff. Now to really jump around, Dagan Casavana. Dagan is founder and CEO of Phoenix Tower International and chairman of the Phoenix Tower do Brasil, one of the fastest growing wireless infrastructure businesses in the Western Hemisphere. He founded the business in 2013, guides the strategic direction of the company, oversees capital investment across various countries and transaction types, and leads all other significant corporate initiatives. Dagan is a CPA and holds a BS accounting from here at Fairfield University. Welcome, Dagan. Thank you. And my friend Marianne Rook, sorry to do your last, Marianne. Marianne is the founder of Rook & Associates, a boutique management consulting firm that helps early-stage technology companies on the verge of high growth. She is also the executive director of Crossroads Venture Group, CVG, Connecticut's premier investor, entrepreneur, and resources network. And Marianne is president and managing director of the Angel Investor Forum, AIF, a Connecticut-based angel group. Welcome, Marianne. Wow, we have an incredible investor panel, I will tell you. Before tonight's pitches, the investors had a chance to look over materials provided by the teams. As they listen to the teams deliver their pitches, the investors will look for good concepts, value propositions, viability of the business, and potential of the team. Each team will present for 6 minutes now. All the graphics will say 5 minutes, but we've added them 1 minute. It's kind of a surprise at the end to give them an extra minute. Followed by up to 8 minutes, we're not adding any extra time to this, of discussion of the merits and pitfalls of each idea. That'll be the Q&A. And at the end of all 4 presentations, the panel will retreat to the deliberation chamber and will deliberate on how much to fund each team. Meanwhile, you will have a chance to vote on which team you consider to be the winner of the $1,000 Audience Favorite Award. So, pay attention, listen carefully, you're part of the program. And now, for what you've all been waiting for, the student teams and their pitches. We welcome our first startup, Sketch to Market. The Sketch to Market team is Jacob Beam and Emily Yale. Team mentors are John Dretler, Jeffrey Moretz, Carl Sharaga, and Kevin Waugh.
Ideas are a dime a dozen, but most people don't have the time, knowledge, or resources to turn these ideas into viable products. I'm Jacob Beam.
I'm Emily Yale.
And our solution is Sketch to Market.
Sketch to Market is a design, prototype, manufacturing, and exit event company. So we believe that people have ideas, and some of them are even fantastic. But a lot of times, people lack key, critical skill sets to be able to take these ideas to reality. Some of these include resources, ability to plan, ability to create a prototype, ability to fully protect their intellectual property, time to manage all of these, and the capital to invest in all of these processes. So what we do at Sketch to Market is we allow all of our clients to come to us and for a fixed fee receive a first prototype and a market analysis. For those products that are particularly viable, we then invite them to go to production with us.
So at Sketch to Market, we begin by sitting down with the client and establishing their long-term goals. We'll then move on to a market analysis and actually create the first tangible prototype. From there, if the client's not satisfied with the first prototype, we'll do additional designs and prototypes. We filter very similar to a venture capital firm. So we'll take in a large number of clients. Then we'll invite 5 who we really think are going to be viable and lucrative. Out of those 5, we estimate that 1 product will actually hit the shelves.
So for those companies that we invite to go to production with us, we offer them an array of services that help protect their IP, perfect their idea for manufacturing, market their idea, and then deal with it long term. We also take a minority interest in the company for helping them with their capital raise. So one client that approached us about taking their idea into prototype and then to manufacturing is a busy college student who's constantly losing his phone, and the phone is often dead. So he came to us with the idea of putting a beeping tracker tag in the back of a phone case, which you can see Jacob holding both of. So we've elected to move forward with this design, and he's going to production with us. So while he's writing grants and raising capital, we're creating tooling and a packaging design for his product. So how we execute a lot of these processes is we have qualified professionals that work with us, including lawyers, engineers, and packaging experts. So these people are incentivized to work with us because we give them clients, which reduces their marketing costs. They're guaranteed payment since we collect cash from our clients up front, and they're able to quickly increase their portfolio breadth by working with our entrepreneurs.
So our competition is mostly comprised of design companies, making up a little more than half, advising companies, making about a little over a quarter, and then Fiverr and freelance.com, which are both online consulting groups. If we take a look at this graph, we can see the trend of utility patents filed in the last 20 years. Take a closer look at the red trend line. See how it begins to curve up in the last couple years. That means there's this creative energy happening in the United States that we really want to tap into. We are living in an economy with great consumer spending. Please take a look at that middle bar. That's tech and communications, just under a $700 billion business with a 25% growth in the last 5 years. So at Sketch to Market, we based it on a flat fee for both the prototyping and the go-to-market fees. Well, if you look in the middle of this screen towards the bottom, you'll see a 5-year growth estimate. Please take note that our revenues have not taken into account exit event profitabilities. So we estimate that our total initial costs are going to be just under $6,000. That $6,000 will cover email, website, insurance, and QuickBooks.
So what we're offering to investors is a curated collection of ideas with high market viability before anyone else on the market discovers them. So this gives investors early access to these clients and customers so they can have optimum returns when the year is an exit event. So our team consists of engineering, finance, and marketing backgrounds, and our mentors have a strong background in strategy.
So moving forward, we want to sit down with angel investors, tell them what Sketch to Market is. Beyond that, we plan to bring on 20 paying customers by August 1st. Also, by August 1st, we want to file an LLC, get an EIN number, and have our very own bank account.
So why Sketch to Market will become a viable entity? Because we offer investors a access point to high return clients with minimal due diligence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, Sketch to Market. Thank you very much. Now we have 8 minutes, up to 8 minutes of Q&A from the investor panel, and I'll let you all figure out the order.
Well, I had the privilege of coaching Emily in a previous startup that is still moving forward, and then teaching her, working with her last summer in the startup summer camp with Professor Jasinski. And I would say one of your absolute core assets is that you are a rock star entrepreneur, young woman, and a rare blend of the passion and sort of business sense required of entrepreneurs with your very strong engineering background, which is unusual in an incubator like this at this sort of early stage of its life. And so to me, that's a real sort of powerful building block. Even more important, well, maybe not more important, but almost as important, let's say, you are well focused on sort of step one of the lean startup success playbook, solving a painful, expensive, challenging, difficult, agonizing problem for entrepreneurs, many of whom, as you said, have a great idea, but no real idea of how to actually make the thing do the thing. And so you offer a potentially very valuable service. My biggest concerns for you, number one, the competition is far greater than you indicated in your business plan, which we got a peek at yesterday. It includes little companies like Y Combinator and Techstars, and big companies like IDEO and Frog Design, and the sort of cadre of Silicon Valley product developer coaches, so to speak. And I also don't think you guys are charging anywhere near enough for the value you're potentially delivering particularly in that very first stage. First prototype, how are we going to make this thing do what they say it's supposed to do? Your pricing is just, in my view of the world, way too low, and you're not getting a fair share of the value I expect you'll be delivering to your clients. So I think those are some of my first observations.
Well, thank you for the compliment. That means a lot coming from a person of your caliber. So the price point we've wrestled around with because we haven't determined how big of a financial bruise we can cause someone if we have to tell them their idea is not financially, or it's not viable in the market and there's not a true market for it. So we're struggling on that price point. We have looked at taking the expected hourly rate that a consultant would get for some of those services. So in that first prototype and market analysis, we expect to do 10 hours of design work and 20 hours of market analysis to be able to come up with if the prototype is viable or not. And we've looked at what engineers expect to be making as a consulting rate, and that's anywhere between $120 and $150 an hour. So we could go revisit our pricing scheme and take more of that into consideration.
Okay. Panel?
All right. Look, I think it's really interesting. I mean, to his point, I mean, the competition is insane. You know what I mean? And the intellectual capital out there that are offering this at a lot higher prices is steep. I mean, so my question is it's really broad. Do you know what I mean? So I think, Emily, we met you last year, right? I think
yes.
we did, and it was really impressive. Is it really just like an engineering project you guys are focusing on? You know what I mean? Is there really like a niche you guys have in mind of kind of taking these startups? I love the idea of a fixed price. I wish I knew you guys 10 years ago. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, you know, the broad-based market it's expensive, and the resources you're talking about are really expensive. So my question is, are you planning on focusing on one area, or just like the general startup idea market, and then hopefully one of the 100 kick? That's a lot of legwork, you know?
So we think that our approach is going to be really to look at consumer products. We think that a lot of consumers are actually going to come to us with ideas. People that are afraid of going after a big Y Combinator and companies like that. People that are afraid of something that's rather put together and really not so friendly, versus we want to be a more friendly, single person, approachable kind of company that a soccer dad could come to, or a working business mom that's got a product, has an idea, but they don't have everything together to go forth to a big company and say, I want this. They want something that's a little more tailored and friendly.
Emily, I'm wondering if you could share with us a little bit about your quality control vision. I mean, if you're going to be making prototypes for entrepreneurs that really aren't quite sure what it's supposed to look like, they've got a design, maybe they've got some early prototype, but one of your big liabilities, of course, is, you know, what kind of quality product. So if you're going to be working with so many different consultants and so many different folks that might be near or far, how do you plan to control, do your quality control?
So we believe that quality control starts from our own employees. So if you look at the note in our financial projections, we actually say that we pay all of our employees $45 an hour, which means we're paying them to care a lot. So then they care about what the clients do, they care about what the freelancers do, they care about what our other contracts do. So there's caring from the ground up, and then that caring translates out and helps the client get the best prototype that they need. We also think that the people doing the initial client intakes are really gonna have to dive into what the client wants versus what the client actually needs, because it's a fine balance of working that out, as well as moving forward to manufacturing quality. That's a whole nother beast.
Thank you.
Great job, guys. Really appreciate it. I think in general, you say you have 20 products year one, and I see the list of 15 that are here. They do seem to be various types of products, and I do wonder if $3,500 is really a sustainable price to make money on that model. And then secondly, I just would kind of like to understand your go-to-market strategy and how you get your name out. I see, again, you have 15 clients today. Fantastic. How do you keep that going, and is it going to be online? Do you plan on having a storefront? How do you plan on actually meeting with all of these potential clients and customers and getting them in the door?
We're planning to work a lot online as well as in person. which in person is not the fastest way to move, so we're really targeting online. We're working on creating a website and an image that's a friendly, supportive, comforting, welcome to everyone kind of atmosphere versus some of the other competitors that are much more cut and dry and not as friendly and approachable. So we're working to work all of that out, and we'd actually love suggestions on how to handle that, as well as contacts you may have in the industry who are experts at that kind of thing.
I think that's going to be crucial in your first year to have that cost structure down pat, and also your pricing, I think are two variables. I mean, I think, again, you guys have great ideas. It seems like you're ready to really invest the time necessary. I'd love to help for sure, and the investors in my company are the Blackstone Group. Love to get you in front of those guys as well to talk through some of the cost structure. But I do think as a startup with a few employees, with only $3,500 a pop, you have to pay outside advisors. The go-to-market strategy may be a mix of in-person meetings. It seems like there's a lot of potential hidden costs there.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we
Emily, I'm going to have to break.
right.
So we've hit our 8 minutes. Sorry to stop you. Thank you very much, investors, for your thoughtful, incredibly thoughtful questions and comments. Thank you. Sketch to Market.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Nice job.
You guys got that. Thank you. That's the hardest part of my job, is to stop that in the middle. Okay, that was pretty impressive. So thank you, everybody. All right, that concludes our Q&A for Sketch to Market. Thank you very much. Let's give them a round of applause, which we did. Thank you very much. Watch the monitors, please. They'll be making their way back to our correspondents, where Joe will interview them post the presentation. Now, while they're going back there, before coming on stage, each Fairfield startup team has developed questions intended to help them bring their ideas to market. That's the whole text-to-vote plan. Now we have a question. Please get out your phones. This is the time you're allowed to use your phones in these kinds of events. Our text-to-vote question today: how much would you expect to pay for a professionally designed 3D printed product prototype? A, less than $1,000. B, up to $2,500. C, $2,500 to $4,000. D, I'm not sure. Text to vote, please. And the text to vote number is 22333. Is that right? 22333. So that's your 2 in the column, and then text A, B, C, or D.
Wow, great job, Sketch to Market. So, Emily, how do you manage doing Land Maverick last year, Sketch to Market this year, and going to grad school?
It takes a lot of organization and my planner as my constant companion, but it's really rewarding to be able to manage everything and keep moving forward with both Land Maverick and this project. Land Maverick actually is about to get wheels put on it today, which is really exciting. And then grad school is just another notch that needs to happen. So I just push forward with all of it.
Excellent job, guys. John, you're a veteran here. You've done this many times. How does this team stack up compared to everyone else?
They did a great job. Emily's leadership, her experience really proved to be incredibly valuable. And Jacob came up to speed quickly and was a great team member. So they were great to work with.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thank you, Jacob and Emily. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, John Dretler, for your mentorship. And we're back with the results. The results from the text-to-vote question: how much would you expect to pay for a professionally designed 3D printed product prototype, are in. $2,500 to $4,000 is the winner. Okay, so that's great market data for this company. Now they get a sense of what, based on their presentation, what we all know about it, and that's good data feedback. So that's great. So thank you all very much for that. We have more time to do more text-to-votes as we go along. Now we're ready for team number 2. And now we welcome our second startup, Urban Harvest. Please welcome the Urban Harvest team, Anthony Mastrocola, Jonathan Russo, and Michael Spillett. And no Michael Spillett. Their team mentors are John Dretler, Dr. Jeffrey Moretz, Joe Schwartz, and Stuart Weinstein. All yours, guys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony. And my name is Michael. And we are Urban Harvest, growing for the future. Fresh produce, a commodity that we often take for granted. But in reality, many families find this to be a luxury. In fact, right next door in Bridgeport, a large portion of the population does not have access to fresh produce at a fair price. And this has a cascade of effects across the population. This affects mainly children, because as though parents try their best to feed them the best they can, they're often stuck with unbalanced fast food diets, which can lead to both physical and emotional issues in their development. The main problem being is the fact that an unbalanced diet over a period of time can lead to weight gain. And after that, physical problems such as development of asthma and the chance of contracting type 2 diabetes can take effect. And then from that point, psychological effects can also be had by bullying and a separation from their peer group. We can see this all over the nation, but it's especially prominent in Bridgeport. As we can see, by the rate that the preschool obesity rate is 20%, an already astonishing number, but even more astonishing when you realize it's double that the national average. If you think that just goes away, it doesn't, because on the macro scale, $40 billion in medical expenses are caused by a simply poor, unnutritional diet. So this isn't just an ethical issue that affects children, but a financial burden that's being placed in the United States.
And we believe the solution to this problem is Urban Harvest's plant subscription. So for only $30 a month and through the utilization of government assistance programs such as SNAP, which we could discuss after the presentation, families can pick up 15 to 20 plants bi-weekly, and they can be picked up at our local churches, community centers, or greenhouse.
Just to show the value that we're really bringing to our consumers, look at these numbers. To get all these groceries on your own would cost up to $90. That's a third the cost that would take for an Urban Harvest subscription. Now, besides that, we offer the most fresh produce with the longest shelf life as we pick it right before we deliver it. And because we do deliver it, there's no hassle trying to find a way to get to the grocery store. And because the food is such a short time, there's no nutrient degradation.
So we have two main customer segments, one of which being health-conscious parents with young children that really care about what they feed them. They really want the most bang for their buck possible, which we just presented. Urban Harvest definitely provides. They also shop at farmers markets, which is where we'll initially be reaching out to them. Doctors have also recently started prescribing fresh produce as a way to combat vitamin deficiencies and some of the risks associated with being overweight.
We'll be growing at the Bridgeport Trade and Technology Center. If you ever traveled up or down 95, you've probably seen it. And if you haven't, I really hope you can go take a look. It has over 100,000 square feet of rooftop available space. And that's where we'll be putting our rooftop greenhouse, giving us the ability to grow year-round. We'll also be utilizing the best in hydroponic technologies in order to get the most efficient yield.
So in the winter, we'll mainly be focusing on growing herbs and leafy greens, as these are best suited for the cold environment. And in the summer, we'll mainly be focusing on fruiting vegetables and culturally specific produce defined by our market, as this is when plant productivity will be at its highest.
So as you can tell by this point, we are dealing with a perishable good. And as a company that wants to feed people, we want to eliminate as much food waste as possible. So take this. We start with 10,000 plants in our greenhouse. That's our starting year one capacity. We sell 7,000 of those plants to our subscriber base, our main value option that we give to them. That leaves us with simple math, 3,000 plants. 500 of those will be put into farmers markets to raise our consumer brand awareness and get people on board for later month subscriptions. Some others would be sent off to the Feed Mobile Kitchen, which is our nonprofit partner, which goes into areas of Bridgeport delivering fresh produce to people we can't reach. The rest will be sent off to donations in other areas.
So what's our total market size? Well, in the Bridgeport East Side, there's roughly 14,000 individuals, and this will be our initial target market as they are closest to the Bridgeport Trade and Technology Center. Past that, there are roughly 40,000 total SNAP credit users within Bridgeport, almost 30% of the total Bridgeport population. We've isolated 4 or 5 other cities within Connecticut that we believe could also benefit from Urban Harvest.
Here's a look at our financials. As you can tell, we are a social enterprise. We care a lot more about the value we can give our customers than the profits we could potentially have from them. 2 things to note is that in year 4, we pay off our initial investment, and all further expansions for the business will be paid through reinvestment.
So Anthony Mastrocola will be handling most of the business aspects of the team, such as financing and marketing, while myself and Jonathan Rousseau will be handling plant production and hydroponic unit maintenance. We have a variety of mentors that will help us deal with any opportunities or problems that we might encounter along the way. And we have sponsors such as AmHydro that specialize in hydroponic technologies, or the Green Village Initiative and Feed Mobile Kitchen, which are very deeply rooted within the Bridgeport community.
That was a joke.
Thanks, Lance.
To get this all up and running and completely self-sustaining, we require seed funds of $145,000. The first $5,000 or more would be for Mike and I to start actually growing produce and gaining subscriber knowledge. It would be integral to the starting of the process. The next $140,000 would be to put the actual greenhouse on top of the BTTC building, as well as putting it to the max capacity for the hydroponic units inside. If any of you have expertise in the following areas, such as marketing or connections to the Bridgeport area or local agriculture, we'd greatly appreciate it. And with that, we'd like to thank you for your time and open the floor for questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Urban Harvest. Well done, well done. I'll throw it to the investor panel. Marianne, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, thank you. Nice job, guys. And it's wonderful to see you back here again this year.
Thank you.
Listening to your pitch, I have to commend you on being a social enterprise and also really looking to figure out how, of course, you can make money, and that's going to be the challenge. I think that's the challenge in the hydroponic business anyhow. One of the things that I would suggest that you do is that here in Bridgeport already, there is a hydroponic company. I think I mentioned it earlier. And they've been there for about 5 years, or more. And they were able to tap some really great grant monies from the city of Bridgeport, as well as at the national level. So I would suggest that you meet with them and you really try to figure out what were some of their early challenges to get started. And yes, you might be a competitor, but I think they're serving a little bit different space. I know the fellow would really love to help students, so I would suggest that you really do that. But I think there's great opportunity in your partnerships with the community, and especially with the city of Bridgeport. And I love the fact that you're going after and connecting with the churches, because that's really the core base in the community. So I wish you the best in moving that forward. One question I do have is, a lot of the hydroponic companies have some special sauce. Now, I think you're trying to really pull the community aspects together as part of your special sauce, and really the fabric of the community, helping to make it grow. You also might want to look at what kind of technologies might you be developing, and then you can patent it once you are, maybe it's the lighting or it's the water filtration system or something like that. Because that's been one of the secret sauces of a couple of companies, the one here in Bridgeport and also one that's in Brooklyn, Smallhold, that's doing hydroponic for mushrooms.
Definitely. Well, thank you.
So have you thought about any other special, are you working on some
Our
IP?
hydroponic specialist, he's been doing this for the past 7 years, Jonathan Rousseau, has been the primary aspect who has the most oversight over this. We've been talking to him with some ideas for heating of the greenhouse to cut back on heating expenditures and costs. By having it being a rooftop greenhouse, we already cut back on a lot of lighting costs. I believe the company that you're discussing does all of theirs indoors, which usually leads to very, very high electrical costs. And we're trying to be as lean as possible. But again, that'd be one of the things we really go into. We haven't gone too deep into it, but it's what we're reaching out for.
Great.
Yeah, really great guys. I think, my wife buys organic vegetables, loves them, and so do I. And so I think the fact that you're doing it in the urban core in Bridgeport, you'll be able to keep your costs down. You'll do it as part of the community. I think it's really, really tremendous and a great pitch. I think, as I kind of look at the financials here, you have a pretty steep capital outlay up front. And I think for investors, lenders, other financial partners to get comfortable with that, I think they're going to need to get comfortable with your subscription model. And I think that's a tough model, I would say, to take a leap of faith on day one. Talk to me about market data around the subscription model. Talk to me around pricing around, if 150K really is how much you need to build the greenhouse. I think they're two kind of critical components. And I do wonder, have you thought through churn? Have you thought through people not paying over time on a subscription? Do they pay up front? Have you kind of worked through those details? Because they'll be important to demonstrate if you really want to raise 150K to do this thing.
Definitely. One of the main reasons we have such faith in the subscription model, and we will definitely be testing this in the summer as that's the best way to figure it out, because before that, it's mostly just theory and hypotheticals. Sure. However, we do have a lot of faith that keeping our subscription based on the usual spending habits of people who utilize SNAP credits. We found that, I'm going to use my appendix slides. This is the amount of money that people have based on the household. It goes from 1 person to 4 people household. So think of 4 being 2 parents, 2 kids, or 1 parent, 3 kids. That's the amount of money they have via their SNAP card in order to pay for their perishable goods, meat, dairy, vegetables, etc. For a family of 4, through our program, they get all the vegetables they need for the month continuously, plus a little bit extra. And that's 4% of the overall if you split it up evenly between the other 3 areas. And for us, we find that to be a very strong rationale for why people will continuously go back to us, as they're able to feed their family supplemental meals at a fraction of the cost it would cost them to do anything else.
Additionally, we also do plan to, after the Startup Showcase, grow some plans in our own respective hometowns, just to get some reoccurring subscribers and to really just kind of learn how to grow as well in a colder climate and kind of get adjusted to that.
I think that'll be really important. Great.
Thank you.
So I sort of, I liked your presentation. I love the concept, but I worry a lot about the subscription model for a couple reasons. First, I think your customer acquisition cost is going to be very high, and I'm not sure that your customer or your target customers spend a lot of time at farmers markets because they're working 3 jobs and got a house full of kids and are looking for the fastest, most expedient way to do their shopping, not to come strolling through a farmer's market. So I think you have to spend some time and thought on the customer acquisition process, hopefully through other organizations, whether they're social welfare organizations or social groups of one sort or another. The other challenge, I think, with the subscription model is, as I understand your presentation, in the spring and summer months, you're going to give me things like corn and apples and, fruits and vegetables. And then in like October, when all those harvests are done, you're going to give me, what did you say? I think, greens and spices and things that don't typically replace the fruits and vegetables you got me so excited about. So I think you have a real risk of a radical attrition shift somewhere about November when I'm looking for more of those juicy oranges or whatever, and I got a bunch of leafy greens. So I think you got some work to do on optimizing that subscription model.
We've actually been following a lot of other companies that have a similar model where they grow hydroponically in some specialized areas, and they use a subscription model as their main source of revenue. And as it goes up and down, they have developed it to further extents with pre-prepared meals now, but that is where they started, and we're kind of emulating that trend, except with a lower price point and a more underserved market. And for the aspects of what we produce, in the summertime, when the farmers markets are jam-packed with just everything you can think of, we'll be growing culturally specific produce that is unique to the very different ethnicities that are located within Bridgeport. This will give us a little bit of a heads up on the local competition that's been growing the same thing for the past couple years. As an example of this.
Anthony, I'm going to have to pause you for a second. Adam, we have 10 seconds left, but Adam, do you have any quick comments you would make so all 4 judges can have an opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I've been down the fresh food delivery situation on prepaid. It's really particular, like it could go very wrong. I think you guys are setting the price point a little low, like we were talking about was acquisition of clients and then delivery to market, like the people we're talking about in that Bridgeport area. I don't know that they're coming, there's got to be a way to deliver that on a reoccurring basis to them, which I don't know if you guys have figured out. I wish I had access to this, and after Fairfield, obviously, look at me, I didn't. But I think the biggest thing what you guys can do is turn it into, like, getting some technology around what you're doing. I get it. I don't know anything about growing anything, right? At least this, but what I mean is finding a way to deliver it to these people at no cost. Like, how can they take a look at what you guys have that particular month and get it in their household and whatever that means. $30 I think is, I'd love to hear how you came up with that number. I know you said you were looking at, some of the data you just provided. Like I said, I'd love to talk to you guys after this because I have a lot of feedback on delivering fresh produce. Not that I know anything about it, but I know what it takes to get to the doorstep. So let's talk about it. But I think it's an interesting idea. I think a lot can go wrong, but it really could be well done. So.
Okay. Not even any time for comment. Thank you very much. Judges, thank you very much. I have to cut it off.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Urban Harvest. Thank you. Thank you, guys. That concludes our Q&A for Urban Harvest. Thank you, judges. It was awesome. Sorry to have to step in. They're telling me in my ear, you've got to stop, you've got to stop. I even had a question for them that I was dying to ask, so I had to hold it back. We've given them a round of applause. Now the team will be making their way back to the correspondence, and Abigail will be doing the interview. That would be the student correspondent interviewing these guys. Our second text-to-vote question, now that you know how all this works, how many Connecticut households are currently receiving SNAP, these are food stamp benefits? How many in the state of Connecticut? How many households in the state of Connecticut? A, less than 5,000. B, about 25,000. C, about 100,000, and D, more than 200,000. These are how many households are currently receiving SNAP food stamp benefits. And we're going back to Abigail, the student correspondent with our team.
So great job. I'm kind of hungry now after watching your presentation. So I'm just wondering, I heard that you guys have some communications with Feed Mobile Kitchen. Do you mind talking a little bit about what they do and what this potential partnership might look for?
Definitely. They are actually a startup themselves. They recently got a grant to basically make a mobile food truck that can go around and deliver fresh pre-made salads and fresh vegetables to the local community. And a lot of these areas are actually very underserved as they're located near food banks, but don't always have the access to go.
Cool, that's awesome. And Jeff, I know you worked with AJ last year, so how does this experience differ from last year and years past?
I think this was actually more of a passion project for AJ. It's something that he has a strong interest in. He started developing it in the social entrepreneurship class, and he's continued with it. And this, I think, is something that he wants to carry through for the good of the broader community. More power to him.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much, guys, and back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Abigail. Thank you, Dr. Jeffrey Moretz, and our great guys at Urban Harvest. Now we're back to the text-to-vote results. Let's see what the results tell us. It's nearly a tie, as I'm looking at my little mini monitor in my podium. And I think that's it. The text-to-vote guess is more than 200,000, and that is correct. The correct answer is, in the state of Connecticut, over 215,000 households, that's over 384,000 people, collect or receive SNAP benefits. So when we talk about their subscription model and using SNAP benefits for Urban Harvest subscription, that's the number they're talking about in the state of Connecticut. That was great. So now on to our elevator pitch finals. We're going to take a pause in the competition for 2 additional highlights. First, last October, we held our annual elevator pitch contest. Today, 2 finalists will compete for their chance to win $1,000. The $1,000 grand prize, and you, the audience, will get to vote on the winner for the best pitch. An elevator pitch, as many of you know, is a short, think 75 seconds, explanation of a business idea with a call to action, just like you would do if you had an idea and you stepped in the elevator and there's the person who you want to know about your business. You have the time that it takes for your elevator to get to the floor, probably where that person's getting off, because you'll stay as long as you need to. It needs to be engaging, persuasive, and make the audience think this idea is fabulous. I believe in this person, and I need to know more. Imagine that in 75 seconds or less. That's what these students are tasked with. That's what we're all tasked with when we have elevator pitches. We have invited the top 2 teams from October's contest back for bragging rights and the chance to win some cash. To make the competition fair, both teams will be pitching the same idea, which will be explained by Joe Venera, our student correspondent. Welcome Joe Venera back onto the stage.
The subject of tonight's pitch is Knoll Cafe in Patchogue. The following is from Mackenzie Miller, Knoll Cafe's CEO. Knoll Cafe stands for Natural Organic Life Experience. This cafe embodies exactly that. It's an experience from the moment you walk through the door, from the healthy menu options to the helpful staff, to the ridiculously positive energy that Knoll gives off. It is truly an experience to say the least. What makes Knoll Cafe different from any other place is that we turn attention inwards, allowing you to connect with your mind and body. We truly want you to enjoy every bit of your health journey and every bite off our menu. You will leave feeling refreshed, re-energized, and refocused on yourself while providing everything you need for a positive experience for that day. From our organic juice bar to their local fresh organic ingredients to our line of supplements, we've really built the perfect go-to shop for all things health and wellness. Every pitch has a context. In this case, the teams will be pitching to an investor, you out there in the audience, who might want to open a Knoll Cafe in your hometown. The objective is to get the investor to agree to meet with Mackenzie and set up a meeting. So first, we're going to welcome Bob George out onto the stage.
Thank you. Hey, Bob. Good luck.
Ready, set, go.
Are you interested in taking strides in the health and wellness industry? If so, consider becoming a franchisee at Knoll Cafe. So Knoll Cafe is your one-stop place to basically do it all. I mean, we do it. We got the poke bowls, you know, you got the smoothies, the coffee, you got the detox that flushes all that stuff out of your system at the end of the day. We even got a health consultant in the far back. And also, if you look at the fact of our demographics, because we're a one-stop do-it-all kind of place, I mean, think about all the different demographics you got to work with. I mean, you got the health nuts, you got the elderly senior citizens who outdo you at the gym. I mean, you got also, because we got that wonderful dietitian in the back, you have that one guy who walks in 2 months before his wedding and just be like, hey, I got to lose 20 pounds and I'm running out of time. Can you please give me some advice? I mean, seriously, they're running out of time. But that's also a wonderful thing because we're based in Patchogue, New York, and have been successful for the past couple of years. And Patchogue, honestly, it's okay, but it's not the optimal condition of an environment, and we're not even close to a gym. It's crazy. We do it all, and we don't even have a gym. Something's not adding up here. But that also brings another point. In optimal conditions, think about it this way. You're a franchisee, you're in like Westchester, walking distance from a gym, you basically hit the gold mine, which makes becoming a franchisee even better. And as far as incentives are concerned, we give you the structure and foundation you need to be successful. With your expertise, we can be great. If you're interested, please reach out to Mackenzie. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Great job. Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
All right. Now, next, we're going to have Tristan Maleve and Carl Zimmerman come onto the stage.
Hope everyone's having a fantastic night tonight. My name's Carl Zimmerman. I'll be representing Knoll Cafe. So we're here tonight. We're seeking investments so we could expand our business, so we can bring a healthy lifestyle to a neighborhood near you. Now, unfortunately, my friend Tristan Maleve, he's running a little late, so I might be having it.
Oh, man, I came as quick as I could. I'm so sorry, man. I'm just so out of shape.
Have yourself some juice. You look thirsty.
Yeah, thank you.
We call this one the painkiller. At Knoll Cafe, we have a wide variety of coffees, teas, beverages, smoothies, and juices. And if you're hungry, we have all kinds of healthy and trendy foods, farm to fork.
That sounds so organic, but here's the thing. I put on this freshman 15, and I've tried every diet in the book, man. I've tried keeping up with the ketos, giving up on the glutens. I just don't know where to start.
Man, those lifestyles are for the average person. Not everybody's the same.
I'm not average.
Think about it. You wouldn't feed an Olympic sprinter the same food that you'd feed an NFL lineman, right?
You're right.
So at Knoll Cafe, the one thing that really sets us apart is we have personal consulting. So what happens is you take an hour out of your day and you sit down with an experienced health coach, and then you guys devise a plan that fits your lifestyle and your goals.
And there's a huge market for health and wellness. With over 1/3 of Americans starting a new diet, myself included, the Knoll Cafe is the perfect place to start, or just grab a healthy meal.
You're absolutely right, Tristan. The Knoll Cafe there's a huge market for people trying to improve their lifestyle in a positive way. So today, we're asking you investors
and you the people to help us
make
that
the difference.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, now we have the text to vote question first. And this text to vote is going to show who won the elevator pitch, and actually we'll do it right on the spot, so the winner will be announced in just a moment.
A, Tristan and Carl. B, Bob George. A, Kristen and Carl. B, Bob George. Place your vote. Place your vote.
Come on, Bob.
Okay, the results are in. You can see them up there. We can see them on our little monitor here. The winner is Bob George. Okay, that was awesome. Thank you for your participation. Very exciting to see that. Elevator pitches are a very important part of this whole entrepreneurship studies and the life of an entrepreneur. So it's a good exercise and well done. Moving on to Team 3. We continue the competition by welcoming our third startup, She Is Art. The She Is Art team is Carrie Clark, Romel Maldonado, Sam Manello, Anton Mills, and Candace Peterson. Presenting will be the founder, Candace Peterson. Their team mentors are Magdala DeGrange and John Dretler.
All right, hi everyone. My name is Candace Peterkin, and I am the founder of She Is Art magazine. I just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and I just wanted to share a little story about the inspiration for She Is Art. So imagine your mother having to go and get brain surgery, and you are unsure of the outcome. For me, this happened to my mother 3 years ago as she had to get brain surgery, and it left her in a condition that allowed her to not be her full self. And throughout her process, she most definitely encouraged me and inspired me to be a strong Black woman and to keep my head up no matter how many times life tries to put me down. Through She Is Art, I aspire to be that same inspiration that my mother once was for me, for Black women. So the problem is, historically and even in today's time, women of color, in specific Black women, face a great amount of discrimination, self-love, etc. Statistically speaking, 75% of Black women face racial discrimination within their workspace, and 80% of Black women are unhappy with their representation within the media. So our solution is that we created She Is Art. And She Is Art is a digital magazine for women of color that allows them to share their stories. And it assures them that their voice does matter. So our slogan is acknowledge, release, and teach. And through this slogan, we want others to acknowledge the different struggles and strengths that Black women face. And we want these women to release any baggage that they may be carrying to then teach younger women of color valuable lessons. So our target market is composed of women of color from the ages of 18 and 30, and our market size is Black women within the US, and that number is 23.5 million. And the reason why we chose this age is because we found that these are very important ages for these women as they're trying to transition into womanhood, and they're also trying to gain a better self-recognition. So throughout our social media platforms, we post original content as well as shared content. Original content that we create, such as different films that we produce and different covers that we make, and shared content from outside sources. So we do 2 to 3 projects per quarter, and given that we're in quarter 2 right now, we already did a project this month called Releasing the Roots, and that was basically a project about Black women uncovering and talking about the going natural process and what that actually meant for them. So our customer traction is as followed. In blue, we have our Instagram. In red, we have our YouTube. And in yellow, we have our Facebook. And we're continuously growing from where we once were in Q4 of 2018 when we first started out to where we are now in Q2 of 2019. And our goal is to reach 10,000 followers by the Q4 of 2020 because then that is when different sources of revenue will begin to kick in. So our different revenue sources are from contributions such as dollar and in-kind donations, sponsorships such as people who see us and want to support what we're doing, advertisements given that we are going to begin selling ad spaces to different local businesses as well as Black-owned businesses, etc., and different events that we decide to put on for She Is Art. So our business model is as such. In Q1 and in Q2, we weren't making any revenue sources given that this was a startup and I was more so all on my own. But in Q3 and Q4, and as we continue to progress, we are going to be making revenue from the different sources listed. So what makes us competitive in the market is that we are appealing to a different demographic. We focus on your everyday women rather than other magazines that focus on celebrities. And we share the different stories of these everyday women. So our target market is composed of a graphic designer, a videographer, a market analytics consultant, a writer, 2 mentors, as well as myself. So what are we asking for? We're asking for skills and expertise with creating and promoting online content, enough funding to cover the production costs, given that each project costs roughly around $2,500, and connections with potential advertisers and other partners. So here's some example of our work. We create covers of these women, and through these covers, we allow these women, to diminish the idea that you need to be famous or a millionaire in order to be on a cover of a magazine. And so we also do videos, and through our videos, we allow these women to understand that we hear them and that their voices matter. And so we have a quick snippet of our video releasing the roots.
Natural hair to me is like my crown. Like it's not just on my head, but it's something that I hold dearly to my heart. But at the same time, I don't let it dictate who I am as a person.
Natural hair means really embracing your beauty, embracing your whole entire self, and just accepting who you are and owning up to it.
So this is just a picture of the website that we are working on. And throughout our entire business, our goal is just to create warriors out of your everyday women. Thank you. And we could also say thank you to my mom because, this wouldn't be possible without her. So thank you, Mom.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Candace. And She Is Art. That's wonderful. So we'll throw it to the judges.
I'll
start with Mary Ann. Thank you.
Candace, I have to commend you on pursuing such a wonderful cause. Mm-hmm. And as a social enterprise, really reaching out to help young women, and I just thrilled that you're doing this. One thing I want to share with you is that there is another Black woman in Stamford that is doing the same exact thing, but for men of color. Mm. And it's called The Man Defined. And she would be a great person for you to meet. She was an marketing executive at Black Enterprises from New York and then moved her company to Connecticut. Mm-hmm. And she's a few years ahead of you. Mm-hmm. And she's doing so many of the things that you're looking to do. And I think that would be a great synergistic opportunity. Okay. And she'd also be a fantastic mentor. So I'll connect you up with her because she's a definite gal that will basically pull you under her wing. I know she will.
Yes.
So one of the other questions that we were really trying to get a sense about too is what's your go-to-market strategy? How are you going to get eyeballs on your content?
Right. So the way I was planning on doing that, or we're planning on doing that is by posting our feed on different advertisement spaces. So there is different websites with numerous amount of followers. So asking them, hey, do you mind sharing our videos here? As well as on Facebook, paying for different advertisement methods that they have on there. All these different platforms, they have different ways for you to get your content out there. So something like that, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, Candace, I've heard a lot about you actually, and I think it's a great idea. I mean, I don't see the subscribers is going to be really tough. The advertising is going to be super tough. I think that the message you have is so powerful that like donations and things will come through. And it's kind of the thing that we would invest in you. I think that it's a perfect time for something like this. You know, I've never seen anything like it. Thank you. I have some concerns because it's not something that I would ever throw money into necessarily to immediately get money back. I think that really where your strength is going to be is totally relating to what's out there and getting really high-end people like, you know, I don't know, Beyonce would totally, you know, be into something like this. I think that you could get, you know, if you can get in front of some people like that, this message of the everyday person and just having people speak to each other, it'll just explode. I think it's a great idea. I think the business needs to be figured out of how it can sustain without basically bankrupting you, you know, but look, it's super impressive. I thought you were great. So
yeah, thank you. And to get back to what you're saying about like connecting with other people, this Saturday I'm actually going to be at the Essence Beauty Carnival, and that's where I'll be connecting with a bunch of different celebrities, allowing them to hear my story and what I'm trying to do.
I would be really surprised if you didn't get a lot of people to relate to this whole thing. But
thank you.
Bob?
I think you have to really focus on dramatic audience growth. And so your thoughts about expanding to other channels like Facebook and some of the other social channels to get your content out there in small bites so that people have to come back to you, to your website, to see more of the content and the advertiser or other kind of sponsor or supporter exposure that hopefully will bring you revenue. And one way to think about this might be to narrow the focus at first and to focus on career-oriented women, say 18 to 25, or professional women of color, or somehow narrow. In other words, before you can boil the ocean, you need to boil a sink. After you boil a sink, you boil a bathtub, then a small lake, then you get to the ocean. And so you want to build your brand in as concentrated and focused a target audience as you can. And I fear that, you know, women, regardless of color, are very different from 18-year-olds to 30-year-olds. So narrow your focus, be great in a smaller place, and then expand from there.
Okay, most definitely. I agree.
Candace, really well done. I went on your Instagram. It was fantastic. I'm following you now. So,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Really incredible. I have a question and then I have a comment. My question is, do you see this as a full-time endeavor for you or as a part-time? Because it's a tough business to be in, and it's going to be tough to pay the bills, and there's low barriers to entry, and there's other comp, and the content's going to be expensive. Is this a full-time gig?
I'm going to make it a full-time thing, and it's because it's a problem full-time, you know, so I have to find the solution to it. And so by doing this, most definitely, I'm going to run with it.
Well, I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah.
You're going to probably need donations early on, and I think my company has a charitable arm, and we're prepared to back you for $5,000.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Incredible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. Wow. Very impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you.
So that, in a very upbeat note, concludes the Q&A for She Is Art. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Now Candace goes back to meet with our student correspondent, Abby, to interview, and we have a text-to-vote question. Tonight's the question for She Is Art. Which social media platform do you primarily use to keep up with current events, news, and pop culture? Facebook is A, B, Instagram, C, Twitter, D, LinkedIn, and E, other. Text to vote. Go into Abby.
Hi, guys. Wow, congratulations. How does it feel? You just got that grant, like that pledge? Like,
It most definitely is a blessing. That's all I can say. It's a blessing for sure.
awesome. And Magda, what are the keys to success for being an entrepreneur?
Well, I would say perhaps the 3 Ps, passion, planning, and positioning, and I believe that Candace embodied all 3, for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, Chris, back to you.
Thank you, Abigail. That was amazing, amazing. So now, the results of our text to vote. Instagram is the winner. Most of you use Instagram to get your, primarily use Instagram to keep up with current events, news, and pop culture. We should track this every year as it changes, because I think a couple of years ago it was Twitter, prior to that it was Facebook, and before that it was the New York Times. Now on to Team 4. Our 4th and final competing startup is Auto Dolly. The Auto Dolly team is made up of Parth Bhavsar, Matthew Finelli, Casper Laska, and Michael Linders. Their team mentors are Jeffrey Hendrickson, Ryan Munden, and Carl Shiraga. Ladies and gentlemen, Auto Dolly.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Linders, and I'm a senior electrical engineer here at Fairfield University.
Hi, my name is Matt Finelli. I'm a junior management major with a concentration in entrepreneurship.
My name is Parth. I'm an MBA student with finance concentration.
Aside from electrical engineering, in the past few years, I've had the unique opportunity to pursue one of my other passions, and that is filmmaking. While working on several student film projects, I was struck by just how long it takes to set up some of the traditional camera movement devices, and I was struck because it costs almost 15 to 30 minutes of setup time. To combat this issue, I created the Auto Dolly.
Now, the problem we came across was that independent filmmakers want professional motion control technology for their projects. Now, the existing equipment is very labor intensive and requires extreme planning beforehand. Any operator errors could lead to costly reshoots and unplanned downtime on set, and the current existing robotic solutions are very expensive to rent or own and also require a lot of time to make adjustments.
So the solution to this problem is the Auto Dolly, a mobile robotic camera tripod that uses specially designed wheel modules and sensors to move about the floor in any direction. The Auto Dolly fuses the functionality of several existing hand-operated pieces of equipment into one device that can be operated at the push of a button. Because it is free to move about the floor, the Auto Dolly provides a similar range of movement to the very expensive camera crane-style systems. The Auto Dolly is designed for a collaborative experience between the camera operator and the robot. But what this means is that when choreographing a shot, the Auto Dolly can be led by the camera operator through its motion using a built-in joystick interface. The onboard computer on the Auto Dolly will analyze this motion and generate a virtual rail. The virtual rail allows the Auto Dolly to perform its motion along the rail as many times as needed and very repeatably. And it can even save this motion for later use. The competitive advantage of the Auto Dolly is that we provide more for less cost, and we unlock the creative freedom of independent filmmakers. A traditional setup might cost up to $900 in daily costs when you factor in how much it costs to rent all the equipment and to hire all the extra operators. An existing robotic solution might be over $5,000 of daily costs. We hope to offer the Auto Dolly for $750, and because of that, it's going to be a better solution for independent filmmakers.
So how are we going to get this in the hands of our customers? Through our market research, we have found that our end users don't actually purchase the camera dollies, they actually rent them out for the duration of their production from the rental houses. So we would be actually getting into partnership with the rental houses and would be taking a cut from their rental income. The second market that we have identified are the universities with the film production programs. The idea is that the students who use Auto Dollies in the universities, they will graduate and eventually move into the rental market, the second market. This is pretty much our market size, the numbers of universities and the number of rental houses. As you can see, New York is our starting point, as that's where we'll be staying in the beginning, and then we will move to the country and then to the world. With the rental houses, we have been pretty selective in our market. We have only selected production hubs where the traffic of our end users is at its peak. So starting from New York, then going to Los Angeles, Boston, Philadelphia, internationally, countries like UK, France, India, China, which pretty much has their own film industries. These are our financials. These are just for New York, because we'll be just staying in New York for the first couple of years. And through various interviews that we have conducted with the rental houses, we have been able to quantify this market. We've been able to find that there are 12,000 camera dolly rentals annually across all the rental houses in New York. So we would be trying to take 0.4% share of that, which would be 48 camera dolly rentals. And with the 50% utilization, so for 6 months they are out on rental, and with the $750 rental price, our rental revenue is $1 million for 2020, and then it goes up to $8.7 million as we increase the market share by 2023. And with the universities, we are looking to sell to 5 different universities a direct sale in 2020, and that's $60K, and then goes up to $482K. Now, one thing I do want to state here is that we are being pretty conservative in our market share because we are a new firm, but our product is sort of a disruption product because we are actually offering so much to filmmakers. We are eliminating so much cost and time for them. So there's no reason why they wouldn't choose auto dolly over the other dollies. That's why the market share potentially could be much bigger. And when we scale it out to national and to the world, the numbers could potentially get much bigger.
So here we see our product development roadmap. Right now we're on the rightmost stage of this graphic. We're developing what we call the auto dolly base. This is the base that allows the auto dolly to move in any direction, and this will be incorporated into our final design. As we move into the summer, we hope to develop what we call the auto dolly pedestal, which will be an attachment for the top of the tripod that allows for vertical and tilting movement of the camera. And then into the next year, we hope to invest a lot in research and development to hopefully bring auto dolly to market. And to do this, we're going to be working closely with rental houses and independent filmmakers to better our design.
So the Auto Dolly team is made up of 4 Fairfield students, and we have had the wonderful opportunity to work with very talented mentors over this past year. We received the CT Innovation Grant of $5,000 to build the Auto Dolly prototype. Now, in order to grow and scale, we are looking to round out our marketing team and would like your assistance with introductions to equipment rental houses, independent filmmakers, or universities with film production programs. We are also looking to raise funds for the development and manufacturing of Auto Dolly version 2 for our market launch. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present to you today, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Okay, that was wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. Now to the investor judge panel.
Great job, guys. I don't know a lot about filmmaking, and I don't know a lot about the product, so part of this is taking a leap of faith. But on the product itself, there's no prototype here. Talk to me about timing on that, and I think one of the questions is it's cheaper than the current manual dolly, only if you don't have to hire somebody to use it, because without that, just the dolly itself is actually cheaper than your product manual, but because you have to hire somebody for a day. I assume this is automatic and easy and intuitive, but would like to kind of understand that a little bit better and where you're on the product design. And then I think kind of secondly, obviously you look at this, $42,500 up front, $1 million in sales year 1, 95% margin. Looks fantastic. I think the devil is clearly in the details. Are you factoring in breakage? Do you really feel confident that you're going to be able to get those types of sales? And what kind of market studies have you done there? So those are really around the product and around ramping up year 1.
Sure. To address that first question, we actually have been working on a prototype for a couple months now, and if we can, I think we can bring it out to show you guys.
Casper, are you back there?
There's a reveal.
A little slow right now.
I think it's snagged on something.
Does Auto Dolly go on strike?
Sometimes at the moment, yeah. Okay, so this is our Auto Dolly prototype. We've been working on it a lot in the past 3 months. So what we've developed is the driving wheelbase. Unfortunately, it's not in a state to demonstrate it right now, but you can see that it has 3 wheels and it can drive in any direction. And a traditional camera tripod can go on top of it with a camera, but we hope to kind of redesign the top half of the device. It would be like kind of our own tripod that has a moving head so that the camera can pivot in any direction.
Excellent. And in terms of your sales strategy and why you feel confident in those numbers?
Yeah, so we have actually conducted interviews with nearly 7 to 8 rental houses in New York and have told them conceptually what the idea is. And the feedback we've gotten is pretty favorable, and that's why, and they were open for negotiations because this is sort of a new technology. And I guess the idea we got is that they do want to get their hands on it as sooner than later, and I guess earlier than their competitors. So I think we do have a little bit of upper hand in this negotiation.
Fantastic, thank you.
I think the biggest challenge with your consignment rental model is getting it out of the production rental operations warehouse and in use. And if I owned one of those warehouses, I would say, oh, this is very nice, and I'll put it in my warehouse, but it's your job, not mine, to get film producers and directors to summon it from my warehouse so I make money. And my fear is that's going to take an enormous budget, and it's really, the risk is entirely yours, because if it's on a consignment sale basis to a rental house, the rental house is going to rent whatever people call and ask for, and so you have a very high risk of the thing just sitting collecting dust in the back corner of the warehouse, and a tremendous challenge to get it out of the warehouse in regular use and create demand for your sort of intermediate customer, the rental operator. And I think in your conversations with those production houses, I think you need to start to address that and think your way through it quickly.
One of the things we can do is all the rental houses have a catalog of all their equipment, and they also invite people sometimes to do demonstrations, product demonstrations. So one of the things we could offer would be for us to go down to the rental house, invite some independent filmmakers, people that have contact with the rental house, and show them this technology and allow them to trial it and see if they want to use it in their products, and then spread the word from there.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Have you guys patented all this stuff, or?
Yeah, actually, we filed our provisional patent about 3 hours ago.
Right.
So, yeah.
Very good idea with all these sharks here on the panel hearing your ideas.
We took it 4 hours ago. No.
Oh, well,
No.
all right.
So, look, it's really, I texted it to one of my friends, this concept, and he does filmmaking in Brooklyn, and he was really interested to hear about it. I mean, my question is, I don't know anything about filmmaking or anything. Have you guys took the pulse of the marketplace? I mean, I get the rental house. I've taken a crash course in rental houses today with these guys, but have you talked to anybody in the industry and see how it actually works? Or, I mean, it makes sense. I don't know if but I mean, what has your experience been in the industry with this? Have you spoken to anybody directly?
Yeah, we've talked to at least 2 pretty seasoned independent filmmakers in the industry and had interviews with them and worked through our technology, and they seem pretty responsive to our technology. Also, as Parth mentioned, we've talked to probably at least 10 rental houses that expressed interest in the idea, but that's something that we need to move forward, and that's why we're here, to build those contacts and networks and show the technology to more people.
How long does it take to, I mean, I guess you're kind of going through the kinks now. How long does it take to make one of these? What do you expect? When did you get it up and running?
Well, we started the model that you see on the floor there about 3 weeks ago, so we've done a lot in 3 weeks, but that's why we said the development would probably take about a year. If you're talking about the manufacturability of the product, once all the kinks are kind of developed, we can kind of understand that more.
Yep.
So we don't really know that at this time.
Got it. Yeah, I guess the only concern I would have was just the upkeep of something like that. I mean, that's all it would be, but all right, interesting.
I think it's a really smart strategy that you have thought about selling to universities, because as the students move into the film industry, having those early adopters while they're in the university and then taking it into their professions, I think that's a very smart one. Are you planning to do this initially in New York or LA, or all of them? Or what's your overall plan for trying to roll it out into getting some early adopters in the university segment as well as the commercial segment?
Yeah, so we're thinking to stay on the East Coast in the beginning. So for the universities, we were thinking Connecticut and New York, and for the rental houses, we were thinking specifically New York City. in the beginning.
Great. And then the second question is, reading so much about this collaborative robotic technology, could you share with us in lay people's terms really what that means?
Sure. So what that means is when the robot and the operator can work in the same space as each other. We see that term used in like manufacturing industry a lot. It's robots that can detect the presence of a human and work safely and consistently in the same space. So we're trying to apply that concept to the camera robot so that it's a hands-on approach. The camera operator can physically use his hand to guide the camera through its motion as if it was like kind of like floating in space. And then the software is going to take it from there. It's going to smooth out the camera motion. So it's kind of like augmenting the capabilities of the camera person rather than like hard coding and programming these motions in. The camera person's hand is on the device. It's an extension of his body.
Great. So it's learning. It's like a machine learning.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you, gentlemen. That's a fantastic place to end. It makes us really think about the interaction between machines and humans, which is pretty incredible time we're in right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now the team will be making their way back to this correspondence for their interview with Joe. Joe will be doing the interview with these guys today. Okay, it's your chance again. Thank you again for the panel. It's your chance again to join in on the discussion. Our last team text-to-vote question is as follows. Excluding your phone, what is the most you have spent on a camera or video equipment? Excluding your phone, what is the most you've spent on camera or video equipment? A, under $100, B, $100 to $500, C, $500 to $1,000, and D, over $1,000. Now we're going to go back to cut to Joe and the interview with Auto Dolly.
Awesome job, guys. If you need a movie star at any time, I'm free. So, Mike, you guys won the CT Next Award. Tell me what that's like and what it means for the team.
So that's a $5,000 grant that we are using to build our initial prototype and fund some of our developments. We haven't gone all the way through it yet, but that's what funded the prototype you guys saw on the stage.
Awesome. And Jeff, just tell me about the skill set on this team. You seem like you have a diverse group of people with a wide range of skills. Tell me about that.
Well, you guys, I think you did a great job, but honestly, I'm not surprised. We've got an unusually well-balanced team for this task. We've got robotics engineer, we've got an electrical engineer, or is it double degree? It's electrical engineer, all right? We've got finance and general management, so I'm very sure that they're going to do very well with this.
Awesome, guys. Congratulations. Back to you, Chris.
Thanks, Joe. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to share our results with the text-to-vote question. A, under 100, B, 100 to 5, 5 to 1,000, or over 1,000. The answer, the winning number is B, 100 to 500. So that's great data for these guys to have. Thank you very much. So now I'd like to give a big round of applause to the judges who have, and I want to say, have given incredible guidance, connections, beyond just judging. And I'm very impressed being around this space myself. All four of you have given incredible guidance and insight to these four teams. So thank you very much. I want to give them a big round of applause. So at this time in the program, the judges will go back to our deliberation chamber, where they'll deliberate on the teams and who will win the first, second, third, and honorable mention prizes. So ladies, or judges, exit the stage, I guess. I think you're going this way. And Dr. Huntley will help you over here. Thank you very much, Dagan. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Now the judges are gone, we can talk about them. I was just kidding. Now it's your chance for your final text to vote. This vote is for the $1,000 prize for the Audience Favorite Award. The team that, in your view, presented the best startup pitch this evening. You may start the voting now. Which was your favorite startup team pitch? A, Sketch to Market, B, Urban Harvest, C, She is Art, and D, Auto Dolly. So we will come back in a little while with the results. Please vote, vote, vote. Now we have a special appearance tonight, and it's Simply Bell. While we wait for your votes to come in, I would like now to welcome Deandra Clark, class of 2018. So, Deandra is a 2017 and 2018 startup participant, and she founded the organization Simply Bell. Simply Bell is a not-for-profit organization that delivers mentoring programs to help young women build a personal support system through workshops, mentorship, counseling to strengthen their self-esteem. The organization collaborates with local schools and communities to offer workshops to promote personal growth and professional development. Please welcome Deandra Clark of Simply Bell.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Deandra Clark, and I am the founder and CEO of Simply Bell LLC. I truly appreciate the opportunity tonight to update you all on Bell's progress since last year. So Bell is a social organization that aims to empower young women with a focus of combating low self-esteem. In high school, I personally struggled with low self-esteem, which pretty much hindered my academic success and personal relationships. At the time, I thought I was the only one. Come to find out, my best friend was also struggling with maintaining a positive level of self-esteem. So we decided together to combat this by reminding one another on a daily basis that we were beautiful internally and externally. At the time, my friend was actually taking French class, which is how we came up for the nickname Belle for one another. If you didn't know, Belle is French for beautiful. This friendship served as, it reinforced me. It was a reinforcement for me, in which I began to see the beauty in my existence. As a result, I was able to develop the confidence I needed to walk away from an abusive relationship I was in at the time. Because then, I didn't consider myself to be beautiful, and I just wanted to be loved. Come to find out, there's a great number of young women nationwide that struggles with low self-esteem, and as a result, find themselves in risky situations and engaging in negative activities like cutting, bullying, self-harm, and disordered eating. Research actually shows that this issue is prevalent in young women 12 to 25 years old, which is why Simply Bell is primarily focusing on educating this age range on the importance of checking their self-esteem level. Because we believe in the motto, check yourself before you wreck yourself. A lot of people don't know until it's too late, similar to my experience. Currently, we're addressing this issue with the programs that we offer. Our program allows young women to unite, share, empower, and remind themselves that they are beautiful, empowered, lion-hearted, loving, and essential. The two programs we offer at the moment, Belle Amie and Les 13 Belle, are centered around our Use I Am Belle strategy. Our first program I want to highlight tonight is Les 13 Belle. Les 13 Belle is actually a partnership with Les 13, a professional women's organization that promotes higher learning by providing scholarships and other services. Les 13 actually wanted to extend their reach into the community, so we decided to partner up, and Bell allowed them to do so through this shared programming. This was our session last month. Currently, Les 13 Belle is a monthly program. We kicked off a collaboration with the Diversity Office at Fairfield University. This kickoff was called The Art of Self-Love, and it is designed to encourage young women to see the beauty within themselves. At the kickoff, I read a poem to the young woman in which I wrote with Belle's purpose in mind. She dreamed of a beautiful life, a life embedded with true beauty. She loved colors, but had no artistic imagination. She yearned for an art brush so that she may paint over herself. She imagined herself as a painter's blank canvas, begging to be beautified. For a moment, her soul jumped on the canvas, and she thought she had created art. After hearing this piece, the young women were encouraged to create their own art inspired by the poem, as well as what the various implications of the poem meant. A second program I do want to highlight this evening is our Bellamy. Bellamy is our self-esteem workshop specifically for schools. We're primarily focusing on reform schools with at-risk students because society has already shut them out, labeling them problematic. We want to reinforce the good in these students, reminding them that they are loved and love begins with themselves. The program allows for practical activities throughout the year, month by month, week by week, with the purpose of instilling good habits of self-development. We successfully partnered with the Domus Kids organization back in December, so we're now piloting Bellamy in the Stanford schools for Domus Kids organization. While our programs is the heart of the business and lays the foundation, we try to demonstrate other outreaches, such as our Inspire events, which we host on campus here at Fairfield University at least once a semester. In addition to that, we have been working with a motivational speaker, Joy Ashan from speakingwithjoy.net. She provides us with empowering content that we're able to deliver on our social media. And finally, She Is Art is another collaboration that we've began to do. She Is Art is one of the teams that presented earlier. Through this collaboration, Bell was able to deliver their first promotional Bell content. You can watch the full video on YouTube right there. With this content, we were able to capture the different perspectives of women and their take on self-love. By sharing their stories, we're able to understand what they admire in others and how that encouraged them to love themselves. And well, besides from doing videos and events, we also spread our message through our t-shirts. So we're currently shipping and selling and distributing. We are currently distributing and selling our apparel through goodnameclothing.com. Keep in mind that the profits from our apparel goes directly to our Bellamy program. In addition to that, we're able to distribute our apparel through yoshenaturals.com, which is a company based in Georgia, where I'll actually be moving this summer. These shirts will definitely be available after the show. Thank you, ladies. Okay. So what I've briefly went over with you does cost money. This is where our money comes and goes. Our inspirational apparel, as well as grants and speaker fees. Over the next year, we plan to get bigger and better. We plan to expand the business into more schools, moving into Connecticut and Georgia. We will also enhance the activities we provide for the students. In order to do this, we will need to increase staff, and we do have a plan for that. Currently, the majority of the work is being done by me with the help of some volunteers, great friends, and family. But training does cost money. We're currently looking to cover the cost for training. We hope to raise as much fund as possible so that we may pilot the Bellamy program in additional schools by the end of the year. If you would definitely like to pitch in and see how you can help us out, because as of today, Bell is officially a one-year-old in need of lots of help.
Thank you, Belle. Thank you, Deandra. Welcome back. Wait, we have something. In recognition of all the hard work that Deandra and her team have put in this year, this 1 year, since last year's startup contest, we would like to offer Deandra a cash social entrepreneurship award of $5,000. Dr. Chris Huntley will be presenting. So that's $5,000 to help Deandra expand and grow her programs. Congratulations. Thank you very much for that, Deandra. Awesome work. Okay, moving along. We're inviting the judges back. They've been in the deliberation cocoon. Come on back, judges. While they're coming back, we're going to talk about the Hall of Fame Award. Before we see the results, and to raise your anticipation to a fever pitch, I'd like to present the 3rd annual Fairfield University Startup Hall of Fame Award. This coveted award goes to a person who is an exemplary entrepreneur, serves as a role model for our students, and who has provided support for entrepreneurship programs at Fairfield University. Last year, we recognized Don Gibson. This year, the Hall of Fame Award goes to Scott DePetris, class of 1999. Scott DePetris. So Scott is the co-founder and CEO of Liquid Digital Holdings, LLC, and a proven social entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. Prior to joining Liquid Digital, he was founding member and president of Portware, LLC, as well as co-founder and SVP of Exchange Lab, Inc. He is currently an active early-stage investor in technology and an advisor. Scott serves on numerous for-profit boards and is a board member of the prestigious Young Presidents Organization, YPO. He is also an active philanthropist and serves as the chairman of LSA Family Health Service and is a board member at Domus Kids in Stamford, Connecticut. Chris Huntley asked me to tell this quick story about Scott. While Scott was a student here in the late 90s, he was known for being both super smart and speaking his mind, no surprise. When he finally graduated, they were all sure that they'd read about him in the paper someday. Of course, it could have just as easily been on page 6 as the Wall Street Journal. A decade and a half later, Scott returned to the campus to tell the students about his adventures as a serial entrepreneur. It was wonderful and inspiring, as expected. But people kept asking, who was that guy and where has he been all these years? At the end of his speech, he told a story from his student days when he demanded and got a meeting with the dean, at the time Walt Ryba, to agitate for the establishment of a formal entrepreneurship program here at Fairfield. As always, he was smart and forceful, but he didn't get his way. Fairfield was just not ready yet. Now, however, in part of people like Scott, we have a thriving entrepreneurship program that we can all be very proud of. So Scott, consider this a very late but well-deserved thank you. And a few of your words. Congratulations.
All right, I put my notes on a phone so I fit in with the kids. Thank you to the university for giving me this very undeserved honor. As a student, I couldn't imagine a life that wasn't full of risk, excitement, and reward, which I suppose is why I chose the path of entrepreneurship. Risk and entrepreneurship go hand in hand. It's certainly not for the faint of heart, but it is incredibly fulfilling, and I'm grateful it's the path I chose. I tell students often, don't ever enter it for the money. That's never a guarantee. Enter it because you can't see life unfolding any other way. I remember asking my freshman faculty advisor in 1995, and demanding with the dean as well after that, why there were no courses in entrepreneurship. There was no good answer, not surprisingly. It just wasn't something that universities focused on back then, and from that moment on, I became an advocate for entrepreneurship at the university level. Having the opportunity the past few years to participate in the student startup journey has been a joy. These students are far more switched on and thoughtful than I ever was in college. Quite frankly, they're more impressive than most 40-somethings I know. I commend the students for their effort and eagerness to learn, and the university for creating such an incredible program. Special thanks go to Chris Huntley, who's back here, who, without his tireless efforts, this program would not exist. I look forward to seeing the program grow, especially now that they have this beautiful building in back of us. Thank you again, and congratulations to tonight's participants. Thank you.
That's wonderful. So now the investor panel is back, and we invite the investor panel to give feedback, to provide feedback on the teams. And we're going to bring the teams, we're going to bring all 4 teams back out. So let's see, Sketch to Market, Urban Harvest, She Is Art, and Auto Dolly. Please come back out onto the stage. So while they're coming out, the investors deliberated, the judges deliberated. Each of them has one company that you'll talk about.
Yeah.
They'll go through those, and then we'll announce. We will announce the prizes.
Great. Well, so I got the first pick, Sketch to Market, which I like a lot, but I think you've got a lot of work ahead to get to the 3 magic words that drive success in the startup world. A business that's repeatable, that's scalable, and that's ultimately profitable. And I think the challenge with the repeatability is that everything's got to flow through the 2 of you, from the concept to the sort of picking of the consultants, the management of the process, the management of the sales process, and that's really, really hard to scale. It's also hard to approach profitability, because every new customer is a new pile of work, and that pile of work is not going to reduce over time. So I think that's one key thing you need to start to think about.
We agree, and we'd love to chat with you about some commercially available software that handles a lot of that.
Well, I think that's the second thing. I don't believe that people buy this kind of service from websites or software.
Mm-hmm.
They buy it from flesh-based processing units like the 2 of you. It is what a consulting client of mine once called the leap and trust business. Hold my hand. You're going to give me a pile of money, and you're going to hold my hand. We're going to jump off this mountain together, and don't worry, it's going to be great. You don't sell that on a website. You sell that on 2 things: your personal experience, and second, and even more important, and I think your #1 challenge for the summer, is on your successes. You're in the business of breeding thoroughbred horses. So you got to have one soon that wins the Kentucky Derby or the Preakness or whatever, a show horse. We built this prototype, helped this terrific young startup team get investors, get into production, and drove them down the road to success. That will do 2 things for you. #1, hopefully you'll get paid more than $3,500 to accomplish all of that for a startup. And you'll have some equity to show for it. But more important, you'll have a case study and enthusiastic, validation, referral sources, and so forth, that will bring you more clients and potentially investors. Because you're really not, at the end of the day, asking investors to invest in your business. You're asking them to buy an option, a call option, on the clients that pass through your enterprise. That's very different, and it really is much more like a seed stage venture fund than it is a scalable consulting business. And that puts you in a very puts you in competition with my favorite East Coast VC, Fred Wilson, Union Square Ventures, right? They are one of the best thoroughbred breeders, investors in, on the East Coast. And so every startup beats a path to their door, and every time they raise a fund, they raise more money than they set out to raise. That's what your sort of aspirational role model, and it takes a lot of work to get there. And I think among the first steps in that direction is to take fewer clients, not more clients, so that you can concentrate on those baby thoroughbreds and raise Preakness winners or Kentucky Derby winners or whatever metaphor you want to choose, because that's what's going to build your brand, build your credibility, build your business, and help you attract investors. In the meantime, most of your, I thought we had 8 minutes. I could go for another half hour.
I totally failed. I forgot to mention it was 2 minutes.
Okay.
Who can stop Bob Dorff?
Well, that means
we can write a book.
That means I have 90 seconds left, right?
Okay.
I have 90 seconds to go? No.
Could you,
So,
in closing,
I guess,
oh, thanks.
in closing, focus tighter, build your brand, and forget websites and software. You're building a brand around the two of you and your achievements. Get out there to meetups and other kinds of events. Show your stuff, talk about your strategy, and as soon as you can, brag about your successes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next is Andy,
Urban
you wanna go?
Harvest?
Okay. Urban Harvest. Gentlemen?
What's up, guys? So look, I mean, I thought it was a great idea. I think you definitely know what you want to do. I think, look, I really liked it. I think in inner cities, it's going to be something that really hasn't been done before. So I think it's interesting. But what always concerns me is, again, been down this road is, you know, the percentages of waste and coming up with a number that, based on that percentage of waste, you know, you come up with a subscription model. You know what I mean? And what you can actually make and your failure rate of growing those particular products. I just Googled it all outside, so I'm figuring it out now. But look, I think, AJ, I got to know you last year. I think you guys are super bright kids. I think you have a really good model ahead of you. I think what you really need to do is get a feel in the marketplace of what actually you think you can get on a subscription level, like in the Bridgeport area. You know what I mean? What did you say, 380,000 people are using that service, the state service. I mean, getting a feel for 50 to 75 people, I think, would be something that you got to do to really feel if the want is out there. But also the other thing is come up with an idea. And what I would say is come to New York, meet with me and some of our partners that we've done this before, not necessarily just fresh produce, but delivering meals, right? Not at $30 a month, and get a feel for how it's actually delivered to market. Like, what are you guys going to do? Like, how are you going to communicate with these people that they're going to be able to get your service? Like, I think it was, oops, sorry, Bob. I think Bob had said it, or somebody, they're not going to come there working 3 jobs to your place. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something you really need to address, and that comes into technology. So I think getting a feel for the marketplace of exactly how much you really need to charge based on what you're growing, what really is the feel in this particular area for it, and if this is the area to do it. I know you're doing it already, and then the technology that's going to deliver it to market. I think those are the 3 things you got to do, and we'll talk after about some of the things that I directly could help you with technology-based right now. So,
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Thank you. That's great. Thank you. Mary Ann?
Yes, Candace. Well, first of all, I wanted to share with you, some of the thoughts that our panel had, and that is that we really loved your cause. And we believe that there will be many folks that you will be approaching that will not only love your cause, but then will hop on board and help you achieve success in what you'd like to do here. We've been so, throughout the program, and tonight really very impressed with your commitment and just your personal drive to make this happen. So, congratulations on that. A couple of things that we believe need some work. One is you really need to build a network, and that means a lot of different things in so many different ways. You'll need to work on your revenue model to make sure that you can truly be profitable. And granted that you'll set up your business as a social enterprise, but you still need to be profitable. So need to work on that. You also need to figure out how you're going to build the eyeballs on your content. And then from not only building those eyeballs, how are you going to really expand it on media, whether it's making some traction, getting to maybe 5,000 on Instagram, or writing a blog, and maybe getting into LinkedIn. And there's probably a lot of different professional Black women organizations, and if you become a member of those, you can do a blog, and every time you publish an article, you can send it out through there, and then you'll really start building your network. So we think that's really one of the key things to your success. Also, we felt that you would benefit greatly if you had a business partner. So there's a lot of people here at school that have some tremendous experience and might be graduating as well. have an interest in being an entrepreneur, but most importantly, an interest in your cause, and that's key. And you also need some other partners, some corporations that have some really solid corporate social responsibility programs. And many of them will, if they really believe in your cause and you want to find one that does, partner with you to really help you get out there in the community. And you need to find some influencers in the marketplace, and I think you're going to do that this weekend. So we really want to wish you the best and great success this weekend when you make your debut
Thank you so much.
in New York.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Marianne. And now, Dagan with Auto Dolly.
Auto Dolly. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Listen, really great job. I think that you're serving a need that doesn't exist. You're doing it for cheaper. And you have a plan, and you guys put a lot of work in the plan. You have a product, and that's really unique with a patent pending. That's exciting, and that's where you want to be in life when you're like graduating college. I mean, just well done. I think a lot of people are going to want to get behind you. I think when you're able to show and demonstrate that product and literally, have a guy in the old school camera kind of and everything that entails, and then put your camera right next to that and have somebody work that joystick and show it and actually show what that video looks like, you're going to raise some real serious capital. And I think that's what that's where you need to focus, is getting ready for that pitch and showing the technology at work. I think the second area that you need to focus is on bridge to profitability. As an entrepreneur, if it looks too good to be true, it usually isn't. I want to make sure that you're incorporating breakage, what that entails, people and personnel, and how that works. We talked about it. You need to be able to test and validate this, across the board with end users and make sure that it really justifies people using your product, and that, once you have that prototype done, you're going to be able to do that. And also, I want to introduce you to the guys at Blackstone, our investors as well in New York, work with you on that. I want to look at the model, kind of dig deeper with you on those costs, because I think there's certainly some efficiencies that you could build, but I also think you'll realize that it may still be a fantastic business plan, but going from 50K to $1 million in sales at 96 profit year one might be unrealistic, and that doesn't mean that it's not still a great business to be in, but let's get that model right, and certainly want to help you do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And Chris?
All right.
Chris,
Yes.
have one last thing. I would like to invite all of the teams to come to our Angel Investor Forum meeting, which is probably the best one to come to would be either May or June, depending upon what your schedules are and exam schedules. But we would definitely, I'd like to set up where you can give a short pitch so that our investors can hear what's happening. And as you know, we meet right here in Dolan School of Business monthly. So I think that our investors really would like to get a sense on early stage. And I think you'll also be able to get some mentors from some of that meeting.
That's a great invitation. That's an incredible event, and there's real money being invested from those meetings. That's great. So that's wonderful. Okay, now it's time for the moment. Thank you, judges. Thank you, teams. We've been waiting for, but before we announce our Seed Award winners, don't forget to enter your vote for the Audience Choice Award through text to vote. Okay, now I'm going to invite all the teams to stand across here in front while I'm going to read talk about the Showcase Seed Awards, and then I'm going to announce the awards, because I think it's the accounting firm or the law firm has delivered the package under extreme scrutiny to tell me who the winners are. So tonight we'll be awarding $25,000 in Showcase Seed grants to the teams to help support expanding their startups. Then over the summer, we will continue on with the Fuel Summer Program, Summer Fellows Program, which will culminate with a second round of funding, also teased at $25,000, with several very, very sturdy strings attached. Among other things, the teams will begin the process of incorporating into investable entities. They'll participate in Dale Jasinski and Bob Dorf's Startup Summer Camp, which is open to students from all across Connecticut, but underwritten by a match from Fairfield Startup. They will get a chance to pitch at the Crossroad Venture Group or CT Next meeting. They'll attend, now they've been invited to attend an Angel Investor Forum in Connecticut or an Executive Angel Forum in New York City. They'll be asked to follow through on the homework assignments given to them by the investor panelists tonight, and I have opportunities to meet privately with potential partners and investors within the university community. Now back to tonight's business. This evening we'll be awarding $10,000 to the top team, $7,000 to the runner-up, $5,000 to our third place, and $3,000 to the honorable mention. Ladies and gentlemen, behind Candace, I am opening the awards. And in honorable mention, please congratulate Sketch to Market. In third place, please congratulate She Is Art. We're down to the final two teams. This is no time to make any announcements. This is time to finish your text to vote. And the winner tonight is Auto Dolly. And congratulations to number 2, the runner-up, Urban Harvest. Please join me in congratulating all 4 teams of incredible hard work and fantastic future for all 4 teams. So one more thing, while we wait in eager anticipation for your vote for audience favorite, there are many people to thank for an event like this, and I invite you, please read the names in the programs, the sponsors, and the people that are involved, the schools across the university, including our faculty and entrepreneurship mentors, Fairfield Dolan Business Advisory Board, this year's sponsored, listed here in the banners and in your program. Your support makes this competition possible. I'd also especially like to deeply thank Professor Chris Huntley, our startup program director, and Eve Liptak, our program coordinator, for their amazing work in this competition. A round of applause for Chris and Eve. Also, I want to make sure that Dr. Jean Lee gets a shout out. Our new dean, the Dolan School, dean of it's Fairfield Dolan now it's called. The president's office, the provost office. If Mark Ligas is still here, he's in the provost office. I want to shout out to Dr. Mark Ligas. I want to make sure we thank everybody important. And the final award for tonight's $1,000 prize to the audience favorite, chosen by you, and the winner is Auto Dolly. Thanks for coming. Also, thanks for the sponsors, Abigail and Joseph, our terrific student correspondents. I'm Chris Hamer, and from everyone at the Dolan School, thank you very much. Have a great year.